Morning. How is everyone? So we have made use of the lockdown time, and even we have started making use of the Sundays. We started the story, the best Christmas present by Michael, and in the first part we saw that the author buys a roll top desk, and in one of the drawers he finds Jim's letter, which was kept by his wife, well packed in an envelope, and it was written on the letter, Jim's last letter. Let's take the story further and let's see what happens in the story further. Dearest Connie, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you about at once. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning. It was crisp and quite all about, as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth, I am ashamed to say, is that Frizz began it. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas, Tommy! Happy Christmas! When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, Same to you, Frizz! Same to you! I thought that would be that. We all did. But then suddenly, one of them was up there in his grey greatcoat, waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads! Someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Frizz up on the parapet, and another. Keep your heads down, I told the men. It's a trick, but it wasn't. Boys and girls, see, it was the World War time. The soldiers in the midst of war from both sides. But see, after all, the soldiers are also human beings. They also have their families, their children. They also want to be happily living on this beautiful planet Earth. In fact, war nobody wants. Nobody on the earth, no sensible person on the earth wants war. Even the soldiers do not want to fight a war. It becomes their duty when it is unavoidable. But think of the losses the war gives on both sides. It was Christmas time, and the surprise came from the opposite side. The soldiers of the opposite side first came out with a surprise showing a white flag. Okay, do you know where is the white flag shown? Okay, white is a sign of peace. When the armies do not want to fight, then they give a sign, a white flag, and taking the white flag, the commanders may talk, they may stop the war for a while. So this white color is a beautiful color. It represents peace. And this time the white flag was shown from the opposite side. It was a surprising thing. And the soldier, the person from whom it was expected, Jim, it was not done from this side. In fact, it was from the opposite side, and this was really surprising. So they came out saying, "Do not fire, boys, do not fire. It's Christmas time and we want to congratulate you. We want to say Merry Christmas to you." Let's see what happens further in the story. One of the Germans was waving a bottle above his head. "It's Christmas Day, Tommy. We have schnapps. We have sausages. We meet you." Yes. By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. "Come on, boys. What are we waiting for?" And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose. But the truth is that it never ever occurred to me I should. All along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another, grey coats, khaki coats, meeting in the middle. One army was wearing grey coats, another was in khaki coats, and both the army, both the soldiers, both sides soldiers lined up to say Merry Christmas to each other. This was the beauty, and this is the beauty of the festivals. Let's take the story further. And I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of Frizz officer, who approached me and hand outstretched. "Hans Wolf," he said, gripping me, my hand warmly and holding it. "I am from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas." "Captain Jim McPherson," I replied, "and a happy Christmas to you too. I'm a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England." Here it is important to tell you that those were the days when every young citizen had to serve in the army, whether a teacher, an actor, or anyone for that matter had to serve in the army. That was the time, and you should not be surprised seeing teachers and orchestra men in the army. It was a trend during those days. It is not now. Although there are some countries which have still made it necessary for their citizens to serve in their army for 3 to 5 years before they get into their profession. But most of the countries have separate armies, and the civilians are not allowed to be with the army or to take part in any activities of the army. Earlier it was not so. The population was not so much, and therefore all the young people of the country were required to serve in the army for 3 to 5 years. Okay, let's take the story further. Ah, Dorset, he smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces. We talked. Connie, how we talked. We spoke almost perfect English. But it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school, from all reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. Okay, boys and girls, tell me who your favorite writer is. Who is your favorite writer? You can send me through the message. You want to ask mine? Okay, William Wordsworth. Now tell me yours. I'll be waiting for your replies. Let's take the story further. Thomas Hardy, his favorite book, Far from the Madding Crowd. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son, born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake. Connie, he thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. I agreed. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. What a surprise. What a tragedy it was. Two officers from different armies, from the enemy armies, getting together on Christmas and agreeing on everything, although they were enemies. This is war does to us. Sometimes I, as a teacher, fail to understand why at all we should be fighting. If the whole earth is our home, we should cherish this diversity. We should cherish the different races, colors, and nature of people on the earth. Why should we be fighting? And yet, the earth has seen so many wars, as if all these epidemics and pandemics were not enough. Think about, boys and girls, think about when your generation takes over, you should avoid fighting wars. Let's consider the whole earth as our home, and let's avoid wars between the nations and between the communities. That will be the finest day, that will be the finest time on this earth. Let's take the story further. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Great courts were dumped in piles to make goalposts. My goodness. The soldiers on a war front getting together in no man's land, eating, drinking, laughing, sharing common things, and now they are ready to play football. I am surprised, why were they fighting at all? And yet the earth has seen so many wars. Can't we all live together peacefully? We can. If we are wise enough, we can. So they all started playing football, and the next thing we knew it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. Henceforth, and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. Think of the soldiers who died and their children are orphaned. This is what a war gives us. The war gives us widows. The war gives us mothers crying whole life. The war gives us orphan children. It doesn't give us anything else. And yet there are people, there are even head of the nations who are always crying for war. I don't know why. Let's take the story further. No wives become widows. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning probably. We laughed at that and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Frizz won. 2-1. But as Henswolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the snaps and the rum, the sausage had long since run out. We knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides. Hans Wolf said, "Take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you." He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt he turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. That night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol. and singing it quite beautifully. It was still night, silent night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of wild shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. Dearest Connie, my Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I'm sure of it. This was the letter from the captain to his wife. Whether the captain could really come home or did he never made it to home, we will know in the next part of the video. Till then, I hope every one of you must have liked the story as much as I have liked it. Do the exercises I am sending you and then we shall proceed for the next part. Thank you for